Deuces again. He's mowing his lawn again during this time. It's because it's cooler in the day. But I'm such a good editor, you're not really going to know.
Honestly, it's not even that cool right now. It's still hot. I'm sweaty. I'm going to end up putting my hair up. I was trying to show off the fresh retie in the light.
The accent left immediately. Was the heat? Actually, I'm going to have to tie us up. What's up? I'm Z.
Actually, I'm Z.
I was Z first.
It really doesn't matter. We're here to spill some tea. And if you don't want to hear our tea, then deuces.
Deuces, the name of the show. Let's get into the tea. So today, there is this documentary on Netflix that I told you about it.
Yes, you did.
Watched it. It hit real close to home for several reasons. It is called Tell Them You Love Me. And on the picture, it's a image of a hand, a black hand, with a white hand, pushing buttons on a computer, as if to be controlled by the other set of hands. The black hand being controlled by the other set of hands, which would be the white woman's hands. So if you watch the documentary, you'll see it is about a, is it facilitator assistant?
Facilitated speech.
Facilitated speech. All right. So the assistant's doing facilitated speech for those who are nonverbal, are supposed to be assisting them in what they want to type of their own volition. The documentary is about a situation where this woman created this whole scenario in her head where the person she was supposed to be helping, who was,
he had cerebral palsy.
Yeah, he was non-verbal, that he fell in love with her and she fell back in love with him, and it escalated into
her raping him,
her assaulting him. In her mind, they were in love and they were, being physically intimate. Keep in mind, he's nonverbal, right? But she was typing out
can't
things.
Feed himself, like,
right. He needs assistance. He needs assistance, and she was typing things out like, oh really? And she was basically having conversations with herself at his expense. And there was repercussions for it. She went to jail.
Kind of.
But she kind of got...
She should still be there.
I do feel like she should still be in jail, especially since she doesn't think she did anything wrong, which we'll get into. And the repercussions I was saying on his side is that now he tries to pleasure himself. And it's like an urge that he has to itch, the mom was saying. And it was a problem that they didn't have before, that they didn't have to deal with. And thinking about how he's nonverbal, the mental that it must be for him to not fully understand what's going on. I mean, we don't know. We don't know because he's nonverbal. So it's like, the anguish that's now put on this family because this woman who was supposed to be there was supposed to be another form of advocacy. And she really exploited the situation.
For sure.
Really exploits. So if you haven't seen it, I say watch it. Hopefully it raises some awareness.
Be ready to get pissed off.
I was very upset. That's why I'm wearing my shirt, my priest provider protector shirt, because I'm a dad, and then I also have my Autism Speaks hat on because my son is autistic and he is nonverbal. So this really hit home for me because this is one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
I have my two biggest fears when it comes to my son is him being shot by police because they're gonna they shoot first, ask questions later. And that's why I'm hard on him. Like he needs to be able to function in society and know boundaries so he doesn't get wrongfully shot because he's already the same height as me at 12.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be a big black guy and they're gonna ask questions later. That's why be careful if they try to use words like, oh, he was attacking me, excuse me. Don't use that language in regards to my son because you're not fully equipped. It's like a bus driver using that words. I was like, you know what? You're not going to side on I'll drive him rather than be around this energy because you don't understand why are you even driving a bus with special needs people. And
your second biggest
the
fear?
second biggest fear is him being assaulted. SA.
Yeah.
Because he's fine. Look at him. He's cute. He's cute. He's adorable. And I don't say that like people say, oh, my kids are cute. Nah, like he could be a model. Eyebrows perfectly arched, full lips, specimen. Of course, as he came from. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This documentary thoroughly pissed me off. I took notes to be prepared this week for the pod because there's points that I want to hit on that I don't want to forget to hit on, as much as I want to hit this lady on her face. So
say it again from the notes part.
I said I have notes this week, because I was thoroughly pissed off watching this documentary, and I don't want to forget the topics to hit on, as much as I want to hit this lady in her face, because I have worked with seniors for the last 14 years. Majority of that has been with those living with dementia. And it's not quite the same as cerebral palsy or those kind of different disabilities, but it's similar. And I just can't imagine someone taking advantage like that. And also, not to mention, my nephew has autism. I have friends with children who have autism and different disabilities. And it's just, it's a problem. So let's just dive in. The first bullet point I put was about how growing up, her mom worked with disabled kids. They would always be coming to the house. Her mom advocated for them and whatnot, allegedly. I'll circle back to that later. And so I kind of feel like maybe she romanticized it because she also was like, my dad would build me crutches so I could pretend I was like post polio, but like he would build her things that disabled kids had to use to survive for her to like pretend with them. I was like, I feel like that's weird.
I mean, I feel like from her perspective, it was a way to kind of experience life from a different perspective. And I will say this. I will say with special needs, and special needs is the preferred language. I went to a class.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a place for the Sunrise Institute. There was like the last class they did, and they were like, try to be in your child's world, or not even your child, whoever it is that had like the autism. Try to be in their world and like, do what it is that they do. You know what I mean? So it's a different world. So, I was just like running around like he would. And it's more of a way of like identifying, because that's all it is really. It's like a different world, especially like specifically with autism. It's like, this is just a different world. It's not necessarily a disability, because I know in America, we like to marginalize. And I watched this TED Talk that kind of pointed it out to me. There was this woman, she was talking, and she was all like, man, there was this girl, she was in a wheelchair, and I really wanted her to be in the picture for the school picture. So she had built this ramp and did all these things to kind of make her feel special. And she didn't even consult with the girl in the wheelchair. And then the girl in the wheelchair told her, like, I just really wanted to take a picture with everybody else and be like everybody else was. I didn't really want all this like special treatment that you did. I just wanted to be, like everybody else. Like the other. And I was all like, woo. And it's just like she was like, oh my gosh, look what I've done.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I'm not assuming that my son can't do things or never will do things, because now I'm marginalizing him. And that's what we do in America. I volunteered before, I was in the military. I volunteered especially for the Special Olympics, and they were playing floor hockey. And we went out there just to play around and was all like, oh, they in shape.
Yeah.
But they in shape. They were playing quarters and full games.
Yeah.
So it was all like, oh yeah, there's nothing like disabled like about these people. But I know we like to marginalize, and
sure.
Their helpers were like, don't try to get away with that. But that's what they do. Just like anybody else would try to play something up. Mm-hmm. Like if the movie The Waiting, when they had the seniors at the table, and they were like joking around, and the person came, they were like, oh, I don't know, because they were trying to get something free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? ain't nothing wrong with you. You just
Yeah.
different.
For sure.
Which everybody's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was just using the language that was in the film because what year? This didn't
I
just
think
come out.
It said 2023.
But the clips in it were old. So this happened when Obama was in office. Whenever that was. Listen, my brain functions day to day. I have kids. Anyway.
2008. Was it 2008?
I don't know. So another bullet point, you can have that with me. Yet he said, nah, that's my no. Oh, so are you doing the math?
I'm pretty sure it was Obama because Biden was elected again, right? And it was like, he wasn't elected. No, it was the first. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't follow politics.
I'm going to edit this part out. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So you can have that with me, yet he said, nah, is my next bullet point. So fast forward, okay. Let me give you a little bit of a more precise rundown than my brother did. I mean, good start. But so, okay.
I mean, spoiler alert.
For sure.
Spoiler alert.
For sure. Yeah. This spoiler alert. You're still going to want to watch it. Okay. So, Derrick is his name, has an older brother who is a Black scholar. He was taking a class on those living with special needs. And he came across this lady who, what's her name even? Oh, heifer. I don't even remember her name. Anna, I think. Anyways,
the devil. I don't remember.
She was talking about facilitated speech. There was this whole video on this young woman who had autism, and she was nonverbal, and she was using the keyboard to talk. And his older brother was like, this is amazing. So he started talking to her about his brother. Hey, how can we get these services? He wasn't even asking her at first. He was just like, how can we get these services? She was like, they're not here, but I'll meet with your brother. No problem. Excuse me. So that's how he ended up meeting her. So she had the first few sessions, and allegedly he was picking it up and having all these conversations. And so
all the success. Oh, wow. He's really good.
Yeah. And so he ended up taking a African-American studies class. And so he's doing all this stuff. He's going to seminars with her. And at one of the speeches, someone had asked him, like, if he ever wanted to, like, settle down, have a life, have a family, or whatever. And he was like, that's not really something that someone like me, you know, can have, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen for people like me.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen for people like me. And she was like, and in that moment, I thought I wanted to say, well, you can have that with me, but I didn't. And I'm like, for me, number one, he never said, I wish I could have that. If he was actually talking, he was like, that doesn't really happen for people like me. So let's say all this was true and he really was the one typing. He was like, I'm cool. That doesn't really happen for people like me. And I just feel like that in itself, if it was something that was really on his radar, he was thinking about that, or he wanted one day, his answer would have been more to that effect. That's why I wrote that down.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, oh my gosh. In her mind, she truly believes this. She was married already
to a black man.
And I feel like even that has to do with her upbringing and being like, this is a marginalized, somebody who's marginalized. So I'm going to get with them because what's they call it? The Superman, the savior complex or whatever. I feel like she definitely had that very bad because I was all like, she's already married to a black man. I definitely feel like that plays into her, her psyche. And when she was all like, I want to say, you can have that with me. And she's like, oh, I'm just falling in love with this man and I'm already married. And she's talking about it like, this is not like, and it's like, bro, this is people's lives, let alone your family's lives. Even if he didn't have cerebral palsy and with special needs, it's like, okay, this is still adultery.
Right.
Like this is still adultery and you would still be like disbanded or whatever the classification that you have.
Right.
Be all like, this is very unprofessional.
Yeah.
Especially because you're married with children.
Super romanticizing it. My next bullet point. So she claims they're in love. Whatever. His mama and his brother still don't know at this point, but she's around more. because they're doing all this traveling around to all these different things. And she riding in a car and they're listening to gospel music.
Which they always do.
Always do. This family's heavily in church. They listen to gospel music. That's what they've been doing for the last however many years before this heifer done trampled up in here. So they're sitting in a car, listening to their gospel music, and she gonna change it to classical, talk about Derrick wants to hear classical music. And change his mama radio. Child, she changed it back. But I'm like, So then she came in one day because, you know, he can't do anything for himself. So his mom's cutting up his food and feeding him like she's been doing for all these years of his life. And she comes in, why are you feeding him meat? He's a vegetarian. Houseway. And here's my thing. If communication going so well and great and hot, do it in front of me right now. Pull out the keyboard and let me see that he wants classical music or that he all of a sudden a vegetarian. Let me see.
And that was the thing too.
Prove it.
Because the brother and the mother were not as successful as she was with using the device. And it was like the original plan was for it to be with us. Like
right.
The people who he loves and is around.
And you brand new and all of a sudden he just clicking with you?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, if we just look at it and you know, the brother even touched on it. He was all like, you know, at the time, I wasn't, you know, would he have a PhD? Doctorate? Yeah. I don't know how many degrees the brother had, but he had a lot of degrees. But he was all like, he was like, all of my degrees and educational background and collegiate, he was using very big words.
He was.
Like, it wasn't clicking at the time. But, you know, I was thinking, okay, like, I let it slide because I was thinking, hopeful. You know, but Derrick's going to get some help. You know, Derrick's going to be able to do this, that, and the third. And it's like, yeah, when I got to that part, I was all like, oh, wow, she is really trying to control. And this is like, this is how Derrick was raised. Why would he all of a sudden, all this time, have a problem with it?
After being with you for 2 seconds.
It's like, this is, again, the savior complex. No, here's the finer things in life. You don't have to listen to that ratchet gospel. We like to listen to classical music.
Right. Derrick, like, girl. So then my next bullet point says, could tell he's uncomfortable with kissing, but kept pushing. Because she's talking about how he allegedly typed, will you kiss me or whatever. And then the more she's like, I could tell he was uncomfortable with it because he needed to practice. Huh? Can you imagine if a man, was like, I could tell she was uncomfortable with it, but she just needed to practice. What?
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
What? I was like, girl.
And you know what? People looking at this will probably be all like, well, he probably enjoyed it because he is a man. And I think you're like, well, these are probably needs and urges that he had anyway. So he probably wanted it. And it's like, think about yourself being sexually violated. And that's what happened. They were talking about the floor. You have that in your bullet points? Mm-hmm. It was on the floor where they would like do it, whatnot, where they would have an affair pretty much. Well, she facilitated him being in the affair on the floor in the office. And there were like rug burns on his back, which tells you how much force she was using and you know, she did everything. You know, she did everything because he doesn't have the experience. Like, why would he ask you for, where would he have seen this? Where was he exposed to this type of behavior to even ask for it?
Hello. Because she tried to claim the first time he was like, can I touch your breasts? Take off your clothes. How would he even know that?
And she was talking about
when he's diagnosed 6 to 12 months old.
I was like, all right. And I was like, oh.
This was a new side of him. He was bossing me around. How? What? So anyways.
He was in control. No, he wasn't.
No, he
wasn't. I'm like, oh my
no, he wasn't.
Gosh. This woman is really
psycho.
Yes.
She needs to be evaluated. So then, fast forward, again, they're sitting at the dinner table with the mom and the brother. She's like, you know, they need to have a conversation. And they're sitting there because allegedly Derrick wants to tell them he's in love. And she's like, do you want me to tell them? Do you want me to tell them?
You're the only one that's telling anybody anything.
Right. I was like, And then I have disrespectful B word on here because because in that conversation when they're talking to the mom and the brother, she says to the mom, "No, we are in love and we've made love. And Derrick is a man in every sense of the word, baby."
You know what the mom said? The mom was all like, I was listening and I sat on my hands.
Yes.
That's actually in the trailer for the, and I was all like, yep, because you knew you was about to take off. Let me sit on these things before they get to flying on Karen.
Yep.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she was like, if they try to stop us, that would be a form of impeding on your rights.
Mm-hmm.
But that's everything that she was doing.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? That's why, like, she's legit crazy.
Legit.
She is legit 5150.
Legit.
That's what crazy is, right? 5150?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a bullet point. I noticed the little device, the keyboard that they're talking on, which stores all the conversations, which ended up being evidence. She took it with her when she would leave. It was in her possession.
She did?
Yes.
That makes even less sense.
So I'm like, if the point was to communicate with the family, why are you taking it?
You're taking his voice. Essentially, you're taking his voice away. You're
I
taking
was
his
like,
independence.
What? How is he? Okay, so whatever. And then I did have a question, and I'm not trying to 100% blame the family, but when I'm seeing Sharonda, so when he was in school, there was this girl named Sharonda who would help him type his papers. And she said she didn't read the books. She said that she real life got the information from Derrick. But I just don't understand why John and Daisy just weren't more involved with all of that. Like, why didn't they have any contact with Sharonda or the instructor? Like, why didn't they know what was going on in school?
I feel like the guy that did the who was it? The doctor that did the experiment to see if the facilitators were unconsciously facilitating or unconsciously kind of like guiding the things. I feel like it was more of, will this work?
I all of a sudden feel like this mic is like super in my face.
Just move it.
Okay.
I feel like it was a push for the facilitated. What is it called?
Facilitated speech.
I think it was a push for a facilitated speech, and it was like, okay, we have these people who are trained, and we want them to do it so we can kind of use it more so for our research. This is what I'm assuming that it will be like. Well, we have these aids, so let's make sure that this funding is being put to use. I feel like it was more like that. Or it could be like, you know, they got work and jobs and they couldn't be there at the class to do that. But as far as sharing the findings, and it was pretty much experimental, I feel like, for the most part.
Yeah.
I think it had to do with, I would say, control. Like, it's an experiment, so we want to control it because we know her level.
Well,
was she just a student?
Sharonda she had done work with kids with special needs in the same situation. So she was assigned to him. So I'm not saying why weren't they there being the ones doing that. I just mean like in the loop, like just checking in with the professor. How's it going? Checking in with Sharonda. Like, it just seems like there wasn't any communication there with them and anybody else except for the heifer.
I thought there was. I thought the brother knew about.
They knew about it, but I'm just saying there was no, for example, like a parent-teacher conference or like a check-in. Like, there was just no communication with them and the professor or the aide. So I was like, that's interesting. The day program director, I put shout out for being a real one because, okay, so let me looking at the camera like this isn't also a podcast. So then she tells the mom and the brother about it, immediately banned from seeing him. And she tried to email his day program director to go behind their back to see him. And the day program director was like, you crazy, and told them about it. So I'm like, shout out to her for being a real one and being like, you're psycho, and letting them know what was going on. And I feel like she was really just romanticizing special needs. Like just, and like I said, I don't know if it's because how she grew up or
any type of marginalization, which is why I feel like her husband is black. Like it makes sense. Why? Because she's all like, black men are marginalized. Why? Because it's systemic racism in America.
Trying to be like a woke white woman.
Yeah, that's what I felt like.
Not
even the one that was talking that kind of like didn't have her back but understood her. The one that was that needed subtitles. She also had cerebral palsy, but she was able to formulate sentences. She was like, I mean, look how long it take me to say something versus somebody else say something. But I know that she thought in her heart that what she was doing was right, but it wasn't. And I was like, is she on her side? She's like, she's not on her side, but she's like, yeah, that tracks for her.
Yeah,
that she would do something like that, because that is how her mind is. Like, does the stuff work? Who knows? But she definitely thought that she was doing what was right.
I thought she was on her side for a minute too. I was like, girl, but and then I just put, if what she was saying was so true, like, why wouldn't Derrick himself fight for it or fight to prove it? If he was really able to have these whole long conversations on the thing, like, why wouldn't he just do that to his family? You know what I mean? So it's like, girl, you're tripping.
That's where I thought at first when I saw the trailer, I was all like, oh, okay. So they obviously fell in love, and it was like a fight for them to be all like, nah, man, he's cognitive enough to know this and he deserves this. I was not expecting this woman who was crazy. And you know what? They started off with Alice in the Wonderland. And I was like, that's so appropriate. Because that's what she was. This was her Wonderland. And that's exactly what was going on here. And Derrick was just a part of it. And it was like, even the husband wrote to the judge, like, yeah, she's at the mercy of the courts.
She trash.
Whatever y'all decide.
Do what you gonna do with her.
You decide. Like, she'll try to make it seem like she care about things she didn't care about. Cause she was all like, oh, please just let me be able to see my daughter. And when he wrote, like, no, she gonna try to say stuff to make you feel stuff for her. Don't believe it. It's like, oh, so she's saying that just to try to be like, no, please, I have kids. Should have thought about your kids before you did what you did, because what you did was like, that's why you went to jail for 2 months. How long was she in jail?
Hold on, I'm gonna get there. So then,
how many bullet points do you have?
Just a few more left. Her mama.
Oh gosh.
Talk about an enabler.
Enabler.
Cause I said her mama thinks she not guilty. Her mama thinks she didn't do nothing wrong. I said, ma'am. So then it made me wonder back to how her mom was helping all these special needs people back in the day. What was you doing, Judy? Oh. Judy ain't her name. I just said that. But like,
I didn't even think about that.
I did immediately. Because how, Sway? How you don't think your daughter did nothing wrong? So I'm like, investigate the mama too. What else? Then I put, didn't think she'd be convicted with like 10 question marks and then white priv in all caps. Because she really sat there and said, I really didn't think I was going to be convicted. I brought my glasses. I had my contacts on and I brought my glasses just in case, but I didn't really think I was going to be convicted. Huh?
That tracks. Because she's not well. She's not
narcissist.
Not well at all.
Extreme narcissist.
Yeah, that's because the way she was talking to the mom, like all of a sudden you've been here for a minute and you know what? This is the part that hits home because you do IEPs, right? I have IEPs because, he's special needs. And I want him, like right now, I want him to go to a particular school and I have to go through the program director. And in the IEP meeting, I was like, I want him to go to the school. And the program director was like, well, let's try to look at the other avenues. And I was like, are you saying that he can't go to the school unless like, you approve it? Is there anything that's going to keep him from the school? And he was like, I just want to try to do other avenues because it's this level class, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so here's the deal. I'm not saying that you're not good at your job, but I've known Caleb the whole 12 years he's been alive. I've seen him in like different environments. Like I'm supposed to be an advocate for him. So I feel like between the two of us, I would know better than you would. You know what I'm talking about? And I feel like between the two of us, I would care more because he's my child. You know what I mean? So I want to see him in this environment. And if this IEP is a way to get there, then I need this IEP to reflect that. Like it seems like for some reason you don't want that to happen. And I don't know if it's like a district thing. But he was like, well, if you can, we can like circle back to it. He hasn't like called me back and nothing like that. And I went above his head to like the other person. And I called the school and they were like, well, it has to go through the program director. I'm like, okay, let me just text him. Like, look, bro, he's going to this school or he's leaving this district. Like, that's it. Cause you're not going to tell me where my son, you're not going to like tell me what's going to go on with my child. Like, and if that's the case, if that's how it's set up, then he doesn't have to be in this school district. He's going to be somewhere where I feel like he's going to be able to strive because that's what I'm supposed to be, an advocate. You're not going to like tell me like how it is.
Yeah.
Because I be trying to go, I'm like, listen, when I went to school, my mom would show up to the school and that made a big difference on how I behaved in school. So I'm like that with my children. I don't care what it is you got going on. I don't see you and think, oh, you got this going on. No, I see you and say, you're going to be obedient. You're going to be, respectful. You're going to be my child. You know what I'm talking about? That's what you're going to be. I'm going to communicate with you differently because you're not the same. You're not neurotypical, but you can still understand. I guess that's clear. So I'm like, listen, if something happens, contact me. Let me know. I'll come. I'll be here because I'm not going to call to him. I'm not going to marginalize him because I kind of broke away from that. I was doing that and I was like, you know what? Nah, because now I'm holding him back.
Yeah.
Not knowing what he can do. So,
and I wonder how many times, I don't want to get too deep into this topic because I do want to do a deeper dive on autism and all the things. And I do want to have my friend on as a guest. So I don't want to get too deep, but I wonder how often that might happen, and some parents might not advocate the way you, and I know she advocates hard as well, where they're just like, no, we think this is best. To parents who literally are living within rate, like this is my child. Like it should be more like collaborative.
It's supposed to be like that.
I'm the professional, so let's, you know what I mean? But I wonder how often that happens.
Probably a lot because when we first started the ABA stuff, they were like saying some parents teach it like it's a disease. They look at like autism specifically and they were like, they think it's a disease. Like, can you cure him? And I take issue with the word cure. Like what are we curing? It's a social thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like I said, he's special needs. All kids are special needs.
Yeah.
No kid is alike. Like everybody learns differently and he just learns differently. You got to figure out how it is and be patient with them, take time with them, which is not what the bus driver was, which is why I was all like, forget it. I'm blessed enough. I can go ahead and bring him to school and pick him up myself. I don't need the bus driver. Because I don't even want him around that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Like, I felt bad that I even let him stay on the bus that one day. I was like, I feel like she was side-eyeing my son. And like, you know what? I feel bad for even letting him be on the bus that day. She was like, you know what? Forget it. I don't know your type of training. Like, I should have told her that. That's what I should have did. I should have knife handed her.
Did you file a complaint about that?
I'm going to call him back. Hey, so whoever she is, whoever her name is, the bus, I got the bus number 259. That's the bus. And I'm like, yeah. And it was his teacher was saying that there was other kids, and it's like she's like no patience with it. And I'm like,
does the bus still drive past the house? Why are you riding
this bus? No, it doesn't drive past the house. But I can call and be all like, hey, can I get the bus like tomorrow? Because they're saying they can still, because they're called. And like, oh, we can still send it. I was like, nah, I'll take them because the bus driver, but I don't know. I think that was like dispatch. So I don't even know if they handle complaints.
Do it. Just call one time so she can show up. I just want to talk to her.
Chill, bro.
I just want to talk to her.
We need to educate people.
I just want to talk to her.
You're going to be like, oh, yeah, we educated.
Exactly.
She learned. She knows.
She learned. She learned her lesson. My next bullet point says, of course, she's released with the eye roll emoji. This Heffa, got
Crazy.
sentenced to 12 years. Guess how many she served? Guess how many she served? 2. She served 2 years and got out. Got a job. Somebody recognized her. It was a serving job, waitress. Somebody recognized her and was like, nope, and complained, and she got fired. Ha ha. Shout out to whoever recognized her and complained. Thank you. Anyways.
The reason why she should still be in jail.
She's not rehabilitated.
She does not believe she did anything wrong. She said that interview, like, I'm okay to talk about it because I ain't doing anything wrong.
They were like, do you have any regrets? Exactly. She was like, no.
What about the affair? Not even the affair part with your kids?
I did nothing wrong. I have another friend who talks with the facilitated with the keyboard, and they said, if they were, she called him freaking Damon. What was that about? I missed it, and I just came back and I was like, "What? Is this supposed to be the demand? Was that the demand joke?" I don't know.
I think it's demand. That's why I felt like that's how he was. D-man, I think is
like D-man. She's like Damon because she's stupid, white. Anyway, I don't think white people are stupid. She just did a stupid thing, and she happens to be white. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she's not stupid at all. She's just crazy.
She was like, my friend who's in the same boat as him said, if I was Derrick, I would just be happy to have had the love and lost it than to not have had it at all. I want to fight her.
And I'm like, I want to fight her. That's SA, bro.
And because she was like, and then I put this one, I put the capital B word. I'm not going to say it because my parents are right there. But his mom and brother diminished his intelligence, is what she said. All they wanted was, and the brother talked about this, he was like so hopeful. And for them, it was hard to have to deal with after the fact that all of this was fake, that his brother wasn't doing these things. He wasn't going to be a scholar like he was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were so hopeful. All they wanted was for, his intelligence level to be higher than it was.
Mm-hmm.
So like for her to say that is just like.
That's that privilege part. That's that looking down part. And it's like, maybe she doesn't even recognize it, but it's like, yeah, you're looking at like, oh, they're not smart enough to comprehend his, like, what are you talking about from birth? You didn't birth. And the mom was all like, you didn't birth him. You didn't go through all the meetings. You didn't see him in the hospital. You didn't go through all the operations. And I was all like, dude, that's how I was feeling at the table. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've seen my son be the size of my hand. I've seen him with all the tubes connected. I've seen him go through the procedures at 1 month-year old, had a surgery. And then again, at 3 months-year-old, had a procedure because of his ASD. Like, I seen all that. I took all the notes. I was in there with the doctors when they were saying, oh, he's probably going to die, like every single day. Like, you don't know what it's like, and you ain't been there. You will never be there. I don't expect you to be there, but I expect you to put respect on what I say about this child who is mine, who I've seen, who I'm raising, who I am there with in the trenches. Like, you don't know.
Right. You see him for this much. I've been here for this much. That's
exactly.
It. Yeah. So, and then there was a doctor who, it was the guy who did the test. And he was talking about how he came and he evaluated Derrick, and he was like, this aligns with his, original diagnosis.
Everything. Yep.
He's his level 6 to 12 months. He did the same tests, and he wasn't able to do any of the stuff she was saying she was able to do. And if what she was saying was true, he wouldn't have reverted back, in my opinion. He would have been like, yeah, this is my woman, typing on the thing. So it's just like, it was wild. It was crazy. I can't believe she's out. I'm super glad she got fired from that job. My last bullet point, though, was the mom was saying that he now has to take medication because of him having those experiences. He wants to pleasure himself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I put, just because I don't know how I feel about that.
I know how I feel about that because, again, my son, I don't want him.
Is it all the time?
I don't want him. I mean, think about it. Okay. Socially, right? Why do you not do that all the time? Socially, you have to go to work and you have to do other things.
I see what you're saying.
So think about how corn right, is so destructive because of that. You're like rewiring your brain to want this release of endorphins all the time because you can control it. Now, if you're in an environment socially where you don't have anything to do, it's all like, oh, I'm gonna just try to release these endorphins like all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I think about like with my son, because he's 12. So he's at that age. You know what I'm talking about? He's looking at women's chests and stuff like that. So I'm like, I need to constructively guide that the same way I would with any other 12-year-old boy, but it's a little different because socially he's not where everybody else is. So I don't want him assaulting anybody because he doesn't understand. So it's my job to make sure that he does understand, right? Restraint. Does he know how to show restraint? What's going to stop him from dropping his pants and doing something? He has to learn that.
Yeah.
So it's different for that. So I can definitely understand it. Like,
when you put it that way,
so it's like,
sure.
We're not even going to introduce this because we don't want to have to deal with that in this level.
But that's also a point. Before even meeting her, she's really trying to claim that this man typed on a keyboard for her to get buck naked and do stuff with him. When before he even met her, he was never doing anything like that. Never interested. Never even doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
This is like before TikTok and Instagram, stuff like that. Ain't no TikTok and Instagram. You can see it. No, it's like.
But all of a sudden, he could tell you to take off your clothes. Lady, don't let me see you on the street, please.
Psycho. This was a heavy episode.
Yeah.
Not too many jokes.
I don't ever want to see it. I've never been arrested. I've never had any issues, and I'm saving it up for that one, and I will use it on her. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say I disagree with you. Like in the text when I was texting you, I was like, "Yo, this is I can still empathize. I can understand that she, in her mind, how she thinks it, but it doesn't make it okay at all.
She's a predator.
She's
a predator, and you're supposed to advocate. And it's like you weren't the one thing you were supposed to do. You're supposed to be one of the advocates. You're supposed to be one of the people protecting. But that's not what you did.
At all.
You put your own little sick, twisted desires ahead of stuff. And I'm all like, this is the debauchery of sin that we're talking about. This is exactly what we're talking about. She needs you.
And also, how many other times did it happen with other people she was helping, but it just didn't, you know what I mean? I don't believe that was the first time. I feel like her mom needs to be looked into. But also on the other side of that, I feel like we've been talking for a while, so I'm going to try to be quick with this. But also on the other side of that, when it comes to the rehabilitation piece, how come she hasn't had any therapy or any evaluation or anything to see, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, she just wanted it to work so bad. So she made, like, no, she created a whole situation. Like, she also needs to have, and then she got out and thinks that she did nothing wrong. Yeah,
she could easily do it again.
Easily do it again. So I'm just like, how come there was no real rehabilitation?
She's not like a registry or anything like that. Like, that's what she should be on, some kind of registry.
Because it was Special Victims Unit that got involved. Dun dun.
Is that
here's your joke?
That's the show.
Law and Order. Oh. SVU.
Okay.
Stop.
Dad be watching all the time. I don't know. The sound.
Dun dun. Bum 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 bum.
Okay. All right. That's what you were doing. I thought you were trying, like when they come back from a commercial break.
That is what I did at first.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bump bump.
I don't think you're doing the sound right.
Don't make me pull. Just like I was right about the Scandal episode, Law and Order is my show. Specifically SVU.
Law and Order is Dad's show.
Dad got it for me.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, sorry it was so heavy.
Hopefully awareness is raised. I'm gonna post some information in the comments.
Yes, please watch the documentary. I do want to do an episode talking about autism, maybe kind of like interview style, and talk to you and also my friend Vanessa. I think that would be a really good educational episode for folks.
Yeah, when we start having guests.
For sure. We ain't there yet. If y'all ready for us to start having guests, run it up, share it, get the like, subscribe. We need more.
Subscribe.
I know y'all entertained because you told me. So
and subscribe some more.
Let's go.
But until then,
Until then, thank you for watching. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
All the things.
everything.
Everywhere.
All of it. So check us out. It's Deuces with the Z. And should we say deuces? Yours was weak this time.
No, don't try to come for me. It was. I was gonna say, it was good, but she was gonna make
yours
up.
was a little dry.
You trying to make up for last time.